In Philippine civil courts, a case can be decided before the first witness is ever called. Under the 2019 amendments, the initial pleadings trigger a sequence of automatic legal consequences that often dictate the final judgment long before the parties reach a courtroom. For decades, litigators could rely on trial by ambush, withholding evidence to surprise an opponent at the last minute. The 2019 amendments permanently closed that route, trapping those who failed to adapt their strategy to the new rules of disclosure. Rule 8 governs the manner of making allegations. It establishes a technical framework where a missing oath, a generalized denial, or an omitted exhibit results in a fatal legal waiver. To navigate these requirements, we are conducting a sequential dissection of all 13 sections of Rule 8. Understanding these mechanics allows a practitioner to move beyond general narratives and meet the specific forensic requirements that the court now demands. Section 1 mandates total transparency. Its primary objective is to apprise the opposing party of the exact claims and defenses being raised against them, which removes the element of surprise from the trial process. The rule imposes a front-loaded requirement. Every pleading must contain a plain, direct statement of the ultimate facts, and it must explicitly include the evidence the party relies upon. Historically, pleading evidentiary facts was considered improper. Today, the opposite is true. Failing to include your evidence, such as a specific promissory note or a witness's judicial affidavit, now renders the pleading procedurally defective. Section 1 further requires that if a claim or defense is based on law, the pleading must cite the specific statutory provisions involved, such as Article 1159 of the Civil Code, and state exactly how they apply to the party. While Section 1 demands rigid transparency, Section 2 recognizes that facts can be unpredictable as a case develops. It provides litigators with tactical flexibility. A party can set forth 2 or more statements of a claim or defense alternatively or hypothetically. If one theory is proven insufficient, the second remains viable. This means inconsistent alternative defenses are perfectly valid, provided that each individual defense is consistent with itself. Section 1 forces the construction of a transparent factual case, while Section 2 allows for the inclusion of a secondary tactical backup plan. Section 3 provides procedural brevity. It spares the pleader from narrating every administrative step taken to fulfill requirements like the exhaustion of administrative remedies or mandatory barangay conciliation. A simple general averment stating that all conditions precedent have been performed or have occurred is sufficient for the court. Section 4 addresses legal standing. The court must immediately know if the litigating parties legally exist and possess the capacity to sue or be sued. To challenge a plaintiff's corporate capacity, a defendant must use a specific denial that includes the supporting particulars within their knowledge. Section 5 balances the need for detail with the reality that mental states are internal. Allegations of fraud or mistake require particularity. You must state the specific circumstances of the deceit. However, conditions of the mind, like malice, intent, or knowledge, may be averred generally. The rules allow for brevity regarding administrative steps and abstract mindsets, but they demand specific details when dealing with allegations of deceit or challenges to legal standing. Section 6 governs existing judgments. A decision from a domestic or foreign tribunal carries a presumption of validity. The 2019 requirement is simple: aver the judgment and attach an authenticated copy. There is no longer a need to plead the facts showing the court's jurisdiction to render it. Section 7 is the actionable document rule. When a lawsuit is based on a written instrument, such as a contract or a promissory note, the court requires absolute transparency regarding its contents. You must comply using one of 2 modes: set forth the substance of the document and attach a copy, or quote the document verbatim in the pleading. Section 8 governs how an opponent contests these documents. It penalizes a defendant's silence. If a defendant wants to claim their signature as a forgery, they must specifically deny it under oath. If they do not, the genuineness and due execution of the document are conclusively deemed admitted. This requirement does not apply to a defendant who was not a party to the instrument, such as an heir. In those cases, a simple, specific denial is sufficient. Section 9 covers official acts of the state. These carry a presumption of regularity. It is enough to aver that the document was issued or the act was done in compliance with the law. By requiring the attachment of documentary evidence at the outset, Rule 8 forces an opponent to either commit sworn perjury to contest the paper trail or accept its validity. Section 10 dictates the mechanics of specific denial. Defendants must strike precisely at the allegations they contest. There are 3 modes: absolute denial, partial denial, or a denial based on a lack of information. The third mode, denial by ignorance, is invalid if the fact is within the defendant's personal knowledge. Claiming ignorance of your own actions is treated as an evasive denial. This leads to Section 11, where silence or an improper denial is equivalent to a legal confession. Material averments in a claim are deemed admitted when not specifically denied, removing the need for evidence during trial. The exception is the amount of unliquidated damages, which are never deemed admitted. Sections 10 and 11 turn an evasive or poorly drafted defense into an admission of fact. Section 12 mandates that all affirmative defenses be raised directly in the answer. The 2019 rules removed the separate motion to dismiss for these grounds. Under the omnibus waiver rule, failing to raise these defenses at the earliest opportunity constitutes a waiver. The waivable grounds include venue, in personam jurisdiction, plaintiff capacity, cause of action, and condition precedent. The court must resolve these within 30 calendar days of the answer. If the court denies an affirmative defense, the ruling cannot be challenged by a motion for reconsideration or a petition for certiorari. The law requires the parties to proceed to trial and raise the issue on appeal after a final judgment. Section 13 provides the mechanism for a motion to strike, allowing the court to maintain the integrity of the record. A motion to strike differs from a motion to dismiss in that it does not terminate the case. Instead, it surgically removes sham, redundant, or scandalous matter, leaving the core of the pleading intact. Sections 12 and 13 function as perimeter defenses, shielding the court from flawed claims and excise abusive litigation text. Rule 8 functions as the tactical operating system of Philippine civil procedure. The 2019 amendments force litigators to provide their evidence immediately, creating a choice between factual disclosure and legal admission. In both the bar exam and active practice, procedurate precision is the primary guarantee that a claim or defense survives initial scrutiny. Approaching litigation with this technical rigor ensures that your cases are built on the specific requirements of the law, rather than general narratives.